And yes, there you go. Kidney Foundation, Zaria, thank you so much. This is, in fact, that's another health topic that we'll probably be covering much later. It's very important for you to make sure you have those regular checkups.
Right. So welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you're watching us, Annie and Zamil. And moving on to our second topic, we're talking about a River of Life project.
And just to welcome our guest in the studios, of course, the man in green, we don't need to welcome him at all. He's completely known to everyone. But you know what? Let's just say hi to Matthias Gelber, Green Man, and of course, next to Matthias, we have a new person in the studios, Mr. Scott Dunn. Excuse me for my voice. Vice President of Director of Development for AECOM Malaysia. Good morning.
Good morning.
AECOM, right?
Apa khabar? Lama tak jumpa.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been good. I've been traveling to Iran and to Doha to give some green talks recently. That was good fun about how we can make the planet a better place. So the usual story, you know, that's my mission. And it's great to have AECOM here today with the River of Life project, which is one of my favorite projects out there, because it's trying to bring everything together, of turning something that is at the moment maybe, you know, a slightly smelly river, which could be seen as a problem when you walk along. And yesterday,
which is probably one of the biggest challenges for every city, right?
Yeah,
when it comes to river and water and all that. So tell us about this River of Life project.
I think I'll start off with how I came across AECOM. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago in Hong Kong, and they were doing a lot of development projects there, where they are working with the challenge of how can you best bring the different disciplines together to help a city with its development challenges. And I think KL is in that situation at the moment. You've been working in Singapore, in Korea, on similar projects with rivers, how we can turn the water into an asset that actually helps people. I mean, if you sit at the moment on the Klang River, you know, it's not a very pleasant place to sit, but if you look at other cities, it's a massive real estate asset value. It's actually the place where people want to be, where they want to have romantic restaurants, and hopefully that will be a scenario of the future in Malaysia.
You don't exactly feel like going and sitting next to the Klang River, do you? No, I don't think we do.
Not yet, by the way.
Not yet. So Scott, coming to you, tell us a little bit about AECOM itself, and you know, the projects that you've done thus far, and the collaboration you have with, of course, Matthias.
Yeah, I think, as Matthias mentioned, AECOM is a global provider of professional, technical, and management services, and we are in a lot of different end markets around the world. We've been involved with a lot of city transformation, and I think that's where really this starts, and especially in Asia context, where you have a lot of urbanization, globalization, and cities are densifying. And as that densification starts to happen, we've been working a lot in terms of how to do that in a way that people can actually live, work, and play together. And so I think that the way in which the city actually interacts with the water is critical to that, either a river, coastal line, the ocean, and how you position real estate to really take advantage of that environment. So in taking advantage of it, you need a clean baseline to start from, and it needs to be clean. You can't go down there and have dinner if it's going to smell, or if it's not taken care of. And I think that was kind of the starting point, at least looking at the Klang River and the whole Klang stretch, about how water is treated in the urban infrastructure.
Right. So what sort of projects that AECOM has undertaken?
Well, some of the projects, I guess, globally, we're working on some of the largest transformation projects right now. The World Trade Center site, we're involved in that as a project. We just have finished the first phase of the London Olympics. With that is now going into the regeneration phase. London Olympics is another project where it has a river as the core asset to that as a regeneration, urbanization. In Singapore, we've been working a lot on the MRT lines, the overall transformation of the Marina Bay, Greater Southern Waterfront for Singapore. In Hong Kong, we've been involved in the Kowloon redevelopment district and a lot of the urban infrastructure that's in Hong Kong. So these are major transformation projects that either government's involved with or the private sector is also involved with. Here in KL, we've been involved with the KV MRT project, and looking at how that's going to transform some of the communities within the Klang Valley.
All right. Well, again, gentlemen, when we talk about river projects, you can do a whole load of stuff. You can bring in the awareness. You can talk about it till kingdom come. But it's all back to square one, the mindset of the people, the things they use, and how they literally think that it's important for them to preserve the river project or the rivers itself. So we're going back to square one in telling people to change their mindset about all of this. So
Sure.
Matthias, coming back to you, how does this reach the masses? How do you literally tell them how important it is?
Raise more awareness,
Yeah,
basically.
to sustain our water.
I think I've always stressed in presentations in the past that a clean river and a river that doesn't contain any rubbish, a river that is a source of ecosystem biodiversity, is something that people can actually draw energy from, appreciate, enjoy. And that is, I think, the essence of the river of life, to bring it back to the life that it gives to the community and to people. I remember 2.5 weeks ago, I was chairing a conference in PWTC on energy management. And I was walking back to the public transport system, the Putra LRT, and I saw a car stop on the bridge there. A woman went out and dumped her bag with some Macan styrofoam waste material
something that we
straight
see all
into
the
the
time.
river. So at this point in time, people perceive it as a place that is dirty, and
dumping
I think,
ground.
a dumping ground.
Big dumpster.
Once this River of Life project has actually cleaned up the place, attracted ecological places and locations. I think you have planned some beacons that actually bring people to the river. There'll be all sorts of ways of how to enjoy the river. Then I think people's mindset will change. Obviously, we always have to raise awareness, stop littering. That is a general challenge. But once the face and the feel of the river has changed, then I think people will be more reluctant to consider it to be a place where they just drop
Easily
their
dumpster.
rubbish.
You know, when you said set up beacons, I was assuming you're going to set up AES cameras.
I know.
No.
Setting up AES cameras and catching them in the action.
Well, part of our whole, part of it's education awareness to general public. Part of it's making it aware. The river right now, you hardly know it's there. It's behind a lot of rail lines, roads,
That's right.
there's barriers. So it's really hard to connect to the river. And a big part of our whole vision and concept for the river was about care, about connecting, activating, regenerating, and enlivening the river itself. So with that, we're trying to create these eco corridors, and each eco corridor actually goes back into the adjacent community, and that's where the idea of the guiding galleries or guiding lights and beacon lights comes into the river life concept, where the eco corridor then will go back a couple kilometers from the river, and every time you see a light, you see a beacon light that may be 2-3 kilometers away from the river, you can get from that light down to the river and you could connect. You can connect safely. You don't have to deal with transport or transit, and you don't have to be a conflict with cars. So you can actually get down to the river itself. Then once you go along, we've got eco galleries, which tells the story of the transformation. So as part of that's the educational component. And then eco centers, which each one of those eco centers will have a function for visitors that come here. It tells the story of where you can go, what you can see. It'll have cafes, it'll have restaurants, and those are on the river itself.
Right. This reminds me of my trip to Brisbane, where they actually used the river. What was it called? Cat. I think it was a.
I wasn't there with you.
They actually use the river as one of the modes of transportation as well, and it was a really beautiful experience. So
If
is
they
that
can
one of the
sustain
plans
that,
that you're going to do?
On certain stretches of the river, we'll be able to have some boat activity. Part of the whole idea of the cleaning of the Klang Basin is that you can touch the water. So in certain parts of the river, we're breaking down the barrier and actually bringing people down so they can touch and interact with the water. And some areas you'll actually be able to go out on it. So we're doing some dams within the river, which will bring the water level up, and then that will allow people to actually go from one side to the next in terms of the stretch of the river.
I actually think that the river itself and all the educational aspects of it will become an educational tool in itself. I mean, in the future we will be able to bring school children there and show them this is how it used to be, and we will remember how it looked like, how it smelled like, and then suddenly the transformation and the change will revive people's belief
That's
that
right.
this is actually possible,
Yeah,
and then we can compare, you know, even from a commercial point of view, because I always tell people, if we go green in the first place, it's going to be saving us a lot of money.
That's true.
Yeah.
The cleaning up will cost a lot of money, but the value of the property will increase so much that, you know, even economically it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So what will be the biggest challenge right now? Is it the major cleanup?
Well, the biggest challenge, I guess, is, well, partly it's the time frame. I mean, the government's under a very aggressive time frame to actually have things started, and
Okay.
so part of the pressure is getting everything ready to actually start construction. So that part has been a major challenge. The second part, which has been, I guess, a challenge, but it's more of, I guess, an opportunity in terms of the community, is engaging with the public. We ran a lot of stakeholder workshops where the public was involved in part of the design process in terms of what they were looking for, and with that process there was a lot of positive interest for what was trying to happen and what we're trying to transform. And so with that is just the technical details of how we work everything out. Then the other component is we're starting around Masik Jamek and Jamaica Square, Chinatown, Pelling Street, like that whole area, which is that's the starting point
Yep.
for
Yep.
KL.
That's
Masik
right.
Jamek, where the Gombak and the Klang come together.
Yes.
That's the muddy water.
converge,
That's
yeah.
Kuala Lumpur, and that's
Yes.
the starting place. In that, you have, you know, hundreds of years of history that have built up.
That's
Yes.
right.
So when we start to dig into that, it's a lot of uncovering of all the different utilities, the infrastructure, and how we actually come up with a solution that integrates with that. That's a major challenge in terms of working through that.
When you say hundreds of years of history, you don't mean the hundreds and years of muck that's right at the bottom, I'm sure.
Not the muck.
not
A
the
lot of
muck.
muck is being washed away. But yeah.
So there you go. Overall master plan. Let's hold that up to the camera. Maybe the camera can hold on to this one. So tell us a little bit about this. Scott, can you take us through this?
So actually, the center part here is where the two rivers meet. So
Yeah.
Masik Jamek's in the center here. The Klang River that comes down and then goes all the way out to the ocean.
All
And
right.
the Gombak River then comes through in here. Just in terms of areas, Duke Highway is here. Lake Titiwangsa is in here. PWTC is here. And then as you go down, then the center part, Masik Jamek, Labo Pazar Bazaar,
right.
and then down to Brickfields, KL Central, and Mid Valley.
Scott-
So it's about 10.7 kilometers in total length.
Scott, I'm looking at this whole master plan here. Just hold on to it, Matthias. Sorry, very sorry for making you do this. You're literally changing the entire infrastructure, or rather, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like you're changing a lot of infrastructure there. It looks like you're adding on a lot of things, and there's a lot of land development as well.
Correct.
Is this going to change the original face of the entire area massively, or can we still relate to what is today to what might just come?
Well,
in the
I
future?
think the transformation will be a positive step. The big part of this is the water. This whole river used to be used as daily activity.
Yeah. Yeah.
People used to boat up and down it. You'd eat on it. All the colonial buildings actually face it.
Yes.
Over time, people have turned the back to it. So
Yes.
it's become a flood channel. And the idea is to open that up and become a greenway. So the whole concept of being able to be up at Po Pond and take your bike from Po Pond and go all the way along the river down to Mid Valley without having to cross a road by either walking or cycling. That's kind of the main transformation to actually allow that to happen, which then gets into alternative modes of transportation.
I look at this and I think, wow, Paris.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Paris.
Well, no, it's very much about getting out, getting more active, and then the other big idea is that at certain places we have different parks. So here we have One Malaysia Park, which is
right.
where we had the opening ceremony. The Prime Minister from the competition looked at all of the different schemes, and then we have a series of other green spaces along each one of these parks. So around parks and open space, we've tried to create more density and mixed-use development so that people are living around the parks. We've done the same thing then with transit stations. We have some of the new MRT lines that are in the area. So around transit is density as well.
Just to stop you there, very sorry. Quick interjection. Okay.
You're getting excited.
I'm getting
Yes,
excited. No,
yes.
I'm getting excited good because I see a lot of green, but I'm also getting a little worried because you said density and oh, that is not part of our music.
No.
I also noticed you putting a lot of people in there. the one thing that I always believe that big cities need is a lot of greenery.
Yeah.
So would you be giving more emphasis to greenery, or are you giving more emphasis to people and greenery living together?
Well, it's more
you want to get the traffic out of town, isn't it? You don't want to
Well,
crowd it up
ideally,
so
you
much.
want to get people to live and work within the downtown core, which then takes off the number of times you'll get in your car to go someplace, which will help to reduce traffic. So that the idea of actually living on the river, that you can live, let's say, in One Malaysia Park, and you can work down near KLCC, and you can actually walk.
Right.
Or you could ride your bike. So that the distance isn't that far, but you're actually able to do that through a connected open space system.
Okay.
So by allowing, I agree, you need to have the green space, but you can then create places that people can live and work around those green spaces so that they're actually used, and they're used on a daily basis.
So it's going to be like a combination of green spaces as
So it's
well
gonna be-
as...
Well, the
population
green
coming
green
in.
itself is dedicated for open space and for the park, for the river connectors.
Yep.
Outside of that are development areas which are slated for development now. And what we've looked at in terms of the master planning is how that development can actually work with the transformation of the river itself. So you're creating economic value for the whole city core
Yep.
and a general demand in terms of living downtown.
So
and
will
not
you
just
be
working.
able to jog or walk the whole stretch of 10 kilometers?
The whole stretch,
Yeah?
the whole
If you want
stretch.
to.
Well, it'll be-
You have a dream.
Oh yeah.
Exciting
my
stuff.
daily route. Yeah.
Well, the first parts of this will be coming up actually towards the end of the year, and that'll
Alright.
be within the Chinatown area and around Masik Jamak. So that's our focus area for the starting part. The second phase will actually be in the northern stretch, and
Okay.
then connecting from Duke Highway down, and that'll be happening over the next couple years in terms
Okay.
of
Right.
that construction part to it.
Well, gentlemen,
Yeah.
this whole structure looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
What is the time plan that we're looking at? Like,
Yeah.
you know, how long will we see till he gets
The
to jog?
completion, the completion date.
Yeah, the completion, I mean, that's still being worked out in terms of an actual final date, but
Right.
it'll be probably, I'd say about 3 years or so, 3 or 4
Okay.
years. I mean, you have to understand that it does take time in terms of the whole transformation of this scale. There's another layer to this, which is the overall Klang. So the River of Life project has 3 elements to it. One is the water quality.
Right.
One's the beautification, which is this stretch here. And then the third aspect is land valuation and the increase in economic within downtown. So on the just on the overall river quality, the quality of the water, that's another program that's being done by other government agencies to improve the water quality, which will pass through here.
Well, for more information, you can log on to the website www.riveroflife.com.my.
That's right.
In 3 years' time, I'm going to drag you. Either we go biking or we're going to go brisk walking along this river.
You're assuming I'm going to...
I'm going to drag you.
I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 years' time. I'm not too sure where I'm going to go jog with him, but you know what? You can expect this in 3 years' time, Malaysia. It's going to be beautiful. You know, the whole infrastructure of Kuala Lumpur is going to change. It's going to be a lot more greener and a lot more
beautiful.
conducive for you to reduce bringing in your cars, but, you know, take a bike downtown.
Yes.
Matthias, Scott, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you
this
so
morning.
much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
And the master plan looks absolutely gorgeous.
We can't
Thanks.
wait. 3 years'
Yes.
time.
You know
I'll
who's
take
gonna
you
be
on a
jogging.
tour.
No pressure to AECOM. Back to the
Yes. Thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Yes.
Keep us posted. You know, we might
Yeah.
just pull you in for another quick talk on
That's right.
what's going on.
In the meantime,
Yeah.
you can log on at riveroflife.com.my.
That's right.
Okay, we are moving to the next topic, talking about investing in a good scheme. But before that, we have a really short break.
Yep, we'll see you in a bit.
Go away.